Morning, students. Welcome to yet another session of biology. I know I am going a little bit fast for you, but we have to complete our compositions before December. Okay, so I'm going a little bit fast. Be with me with my pace because we have to wind up the grade 9 portions fast so that we can make you prepare for the grade 10. Okay, so be with me and study well. Concentrate on your studies. It is high time you're going to enter into grade 10, which is a very critical and crucial moment in your life because your grade 10 results actually decides your future. Okay, where you will have to go, what you will have to do. And it is my humble advice that please choose your choices according to your will. And if you want that kind of power with you, you need the power of your marks. That means those who have ammunition, that is, those who have enough arrows in their artillery, can only be a good fighter. Okay, even if the person is having a lot of artillery, but he don't have the right choice where to shoot it, that is also a problem. Okay, so be ready with your marks. Have high marks so that it will make you capable to select your own courses. Okay, that is the first thing when you are going to enter into 10th standard. That is the first thing I have to tell you. That is, if you have enough marks, if you have good marks, not enough marks, good marks, you will be capable of selecting your future. Otherwise, according to your less marks, the world will select, the society will select your choices. So you will have to be a slave to the society, slave to the education system. Okay, I have got this much marks, so I have good marks, so I want good courses that you can demand. So be careful, children. And this topic is a very important topic. It is coming in grade 10, 11, 12, wherever you are going, it will be there. It is used in your day-to-day life. You need the information of this particular chapter very much in your life, so concentrate. So this chapter comprises with the importance of bacteria and fungi. See, we have this before this chapter. We have a chapter called classification. Basic classification we have that we have exempted from your syllabus. Not we exempted, the board has exempted that from your syllabus. So we have to deal with this chapter because it is very important. In this chapter, we will be going to discuss about the structure of bacteria, the uses of bacteria, where are the bacteria used, and what all are their harmful effects. Okay, all these things we will be discussing. After that, we will be going to fungi. Okay, so children, let us see what exactly is bacteria. Bacteria, what is the size of a bacteria? First, we can check the physical things. Bacteria, the size of bacteria is actually 0.2 to 0.5 micromillimeter. That is nu m, we will say. That is the unit of micromillimeter. Micromillimeter, 1 micromillimeter is 1/1000th part of a millimeter. So you must imagine how much small a bacteria is. We cannot actually see a bacteria through naked eyes. You need microscope to see bacteria. And next comes to the shape of bacteria. We have got various shapes for bacteria, but we have categorized the bacteria into 4 actually. First one is cocci, second one bacilli, third one is spirilla, and fourth one is vibrio. This is according to their shape actually. In cocci, the bacteria is having round shape like this. Sometimes they will club together to form streptococci, octococci, like that. 3 or 4 will combine together. Bacilli means they are rod shaped like this. Rod shaped like this. Sometimes they will be like this, sometimes they will be having small projections. Okay. Next one is spirilla, which is actually a very complicated, it looks like this, spirilla. Long thread-like. Okay. Next one is vibrio. In vibrio, it is like coma. It's like a coma like this. Okay, so these are the shapes of bacteria. Now coming to the structure of bacteria. What exactly is the structure? Before going to the structure, we should know what all are the nutrition capacity, respiration and all coming in bacteria. Reproduction, basic things. Okay, the first thing that coming is the nutrition, obviously. First, the bacteria was included with plantae. Okay, the plant kingdom, but later it was removed and it was placed in another kingdom. Okay, so why is it so? Because it has got a heterotrophic nutrition. Okay, and one more thing is there, it has got heterotrophic nutrition, and one more thing, it is cell wall is containing not cellulose but peptidoglycan. That is the term. Okay, children, please note the term peptidoglycan. Why this thing is so much important? This is because if we are identifying a microorganism as bacteria if this peptidoglycan is present on the wall. Okay, that is why we have got enormous amount of microorganisms in the world. We cannot say that all of them are bacteria. Some will be virus, some will be protozoites. There are so many divisions like that. So, in order to identify a bacteria, we can use this content. That is the peptidoglycan. Next, that is the cell wall, which makes the cell wall of the bacteria rigid. Okay, so that's why the bacteria is having a very confined, very beautiful shape. Okay, very inert shape it is having because of the presence of peptidoglycan. One more question will be asked, what makes the bacteria different from a plant? Of course, the presence of peptidoglycan and absence of chloroplast. That you have to write. That's a question for you. Please note it down in your lecture note. I will be asking for the Google Meet. Okay. So, next one is about the cell content inside the bacteria. What all are there inside the bacteria? Bacteria is a very primitive cell, we can say, not that complicated. It has got a DNA to control the protein synthesis and all. And about nutrition, as it is depending upon other organisms, it will have the capacity of using vacuoles for storing food and all. Sometimes it is not able to move. Moving capacity is not there for bacteria, because it has not got any appendages, any legs or anything is not there for bacteria. But some bacteria, they are showing presence of protrusions like this, or some of them show flagella like this. They are moving towards some. They can move actually. Other bacteria, they are in the air, they are actually on our skin. Thousands of bacteria are around us. Okay, and what makes us, some bacteria even fight for us. Good bacteria is there. That is what the point is. There is good and bad bacteria. That we will be coming to the next point. Okay. Next one, respiration. What about respiration? Okay. Nutrition, I told you, it is heterotrophic. And in heterotrophic, sometimes it will be saprotropic. Okay. That means depending upon dead and decay matter. That is a very important point. Then comes the another mode of nutrition, that is parasitic. Some bacteria will be parasitic, that is feeding on a host, completely depending upon a host. Okay, disease causing bacteria, they are actually parasitic mode of life. Now next comes respiration. In respiration, it is either aerobic respiration or anaerobic respiration. Okay, in aerobic respiration, oxygen is needed. As we know, we have already discussed this in the respiration chapter. Anaerobic respiration, oxygen is not needed. For aerobic respiration, oxygen is needed for breakage of glucose to release energy. But in anaerobic respiration, either the oxygen is broken into two in the presence of some other enzyme or some other chemical produced by the bacteria. So that is anaerobic respiration. So children, next we will move to the importance of bacteria. Okay. Okay, students. So next we will be going to a very important actually capacity of bacteria, which makes it different from, which makes it very dominant, that very microorganism, very dominant above us. That is the capacity called spore formation. Actually, in bacteria, the sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction is there. Asexual reproduction, you know, it is by binary fission, multiple fission and all. But in sexual reproduction means simply two bacteria will come together and they will exchange their genetic material. That is the very primitive kind of sexual. We cannot even name it as sexual reproduction. There are controversy that some are calling it sexual reproduction, some are not calling. Okay, leave it like that. No need of mentioning that. It is not needed for your exam also. I'm just mentioning that because it is there in your textbook. That's why. So, children, next very important thing is spore formation, which you have to nail into your brain, because spore formation is one of the characters of the bacteria or microorganism, any microorganism, which makes it dominant over all other living things. Why is it so? What is the point in that? The thing is that when an unfavorable condition comes, the bacteria can overcome that. How it will overcome? It will actually retrieve all its cell contents and it will form a capsule. And the capsule is covered by another layer of cell on its body, on its own cell body, and that kind of covering, that spore is not actually reacting to any kind of situation in the body or any kind of situation in the external environment. So it will just like in hibernation. Hibernation means we can actually wake up that thing. But this thing in bacteria, the bacteria will decide when the favorable condition is being acquired, when the favorable condition comes. There are particular triggers on the surface of bacteria, which will be triggered and which will allow the bacteria to come to a new life, or we will say a revived life. Okay, so spore formation is actually a escape for bacteria. It is escaping from an unfavorable situation. That is spore formation. Spore formation is not a mean of reproduction, because from smaller classes you are learning spore formation under the category of asexual reproduction. Okay, but here in bacteria it is not coming under reproduction. It is not the means of reproduction for bacteria, but what is it? It is the mean for survival, for surviving in the adverse condition. Bacteria will be forming into a spore, that is covering itself with a capsule. At that time the bacteria will be shrinked into the cell contents, everything will be shrinked into a capsule. At that time no biochemical reaction, nothing will happen inside the bacteria. So that at that time, can we consider bacteria as a living thing? The answer is no. Even we cannot consider it as a living thing, but it can come back to a living thing when favorable conditions come. So it is a bit of controversy in bacteria whether during the spore time it is living or not. We cannot completely say that because we cannot check that thing. Okay, now as we are saying, the glaciers in Arctica and Antarctica, the earth has been formed before trillions of years, isn't it? So bacteria is having a lifetime, that is, it can survive for so many years. It can survive at any time. It can survive. So the glaciers in Antarctica and Arctica, the icebergs, they will be carrying lot of bacteria, isn't it? And they must be frozen in that area. During global warming, what will happen? All this ice will melt. Along with ice, which will come? Yes, the spores of the dormant bacteria will be dissolved in the ocean and it will be reaching us. So because of this global warming, as you know, lot of bacteria will be, lot of other kinds of bacteria will be keep on coming to us. That's why global warming is very, very important. Okay, so children, that is another thing related to this bacteria spore formation. Next one is the important role of bacteria in our life. Okay, so in that, it is actually the medicinal capacity of bacteria. Okay, some bacteria we are talking about a fungus here, that is penicillin. Alexander Fleming, when he accidentally actually found out about penicillium, the fungus, which is actually when penicillium is growing around a bacteria, he saw that that area of the bacteria was killed. So he concluded that penicillin has a capacity to kill bacteria, particular bacteria. Okay. So that was the first antibiotic, we can say, which was discovered by Alexander Fleming. But here we are discussing about bacterial antibiotic. The bacterial antibiotic was considered, the first bacterial antibiotic is streptomycin, which was discovered by Selman Waxman. Okay, children, please note. Streptomycin, which was actually discovered by Selman Waxman. Okay, there were several, and the onset of that, several bacterial antibiotics were formed. That is how good bacteria is protecting us. We are using that as a medicine. So, a good antibiotic must not be, what are the characters? It is already given here, good characters of antibiotic. It should kill a variety of diseases. It should not produce undesirable side effects. It should not kill normal bacteria of the host. Okay. Then other uses are, they are used as preservatives for food preserving, treating animal food, plant pathogen killing, then kill diseases harmful for microorganisms. These are all things you can read from the textbook. Okay. Next very important part is the serums, vaccines, and toxoids. Okay, what exactly is a serum? Okay, children, in your textbook page number 86, it is given serums. Okay, they are containing antitoxins. Okay, what is serum antitoxins? Antitoxins is actually a particular pathogen. That is, when a bacteria enters our body. Okay, for example, let me take a normal example I will take. Okay, that is, we are alone at our home. Okay, this is what example I am going to say. Okay, we are completely alone at our home and a trespasser enters our home. Okay, he will knock on our home door. Okay, and we will go and open the door, and we see that somebody is a stranger is there. You don't know the person. Okay, so obviously you will be asking, yes sir, what you want? Can I help you? What I didn't understand for what you came. Suddenly what happens? The stranger is taking a gun from his pocket and trying to shoot you. What you will do? Obviously you will go to a defensive mode. You will try to close the door. You will kick him. Anyway, with any kind of means, you will try your best to get rid of that person. Isn't it? Okay, that is the first situation, and you actually are safe now. Now, what happens? Again one day, after this happening, again one day you are safe. You are again alone at home. Again, if somebody comes, okay, if someone is coming and ringing your bell, what will be the first thing that you will have in your mind? That is, you will have whether he is the same kind of trespasser came. What will be the reaction of your body? Yes, your body is ready for the defense. Okay, you will take any other thing, that is any other weapon in your hand. You will go to the door and you will open it. Even if it is a stranger or the trespasser who came to hurt you, you will be ready with a defense. The next time is important here. Like that, our body is also having a defensive technique. That is, if first of all a harmful bacteria is entering our body will fight like anything. That is, our white blood cells will fight like anything, and it will be getting rid of that bacteria. But next time when the bacteria comes, just like our next trespasser, the body remembers the bacteria. How it remembers the bacteria? That is the point. Do we have a calling bell? Do we have any other kind of thing in our body? No. It is actually the capacity of our WBC's capacity to identify the particular chemical produced by that particular harmful bacteria. Okay. So what happens? The bacteria, when enters our body, it produces a toxin which is harmful for our body. That's why we are getting diseases, isn't it? So when that particular disease is caused, when that particular chemical is produced in our body, first time in the first situation, our WBC requires time to identify that chemical as a harmful chemical to our body. Parallelly think that the stranger coming for the first time. Okay, then what happens? Next time, when the same bacteria is coming, the toxins have already produced in our body remembers. Just like the next time the trespasser comes, you will be more alert. Like that, the WBC will be more alert. So, we can actually use this toxin that the bacteria is producing as a trigger mechanism to trigger our immunity. Okay, that is, if a trespasser, that is, we are mimicking a thing. We are actually giving this bacteria, dead bacteria, into our body, and we are actually making our body believe that a trespasser is there. Okay, a harmful bacteria is there. So the bacteria, the body will be producing WBC and it will be fighting like anything. And now it recognizes that chemical. So that is what we are doing with the help of serums, toxoids, vaccine and all. Okay, in serum what we are doing is that we are injecting this bacteria into a live animal. Okay, that is animal trials we have heard in rat, cow and all. And we are taking that blood, that reacted blood from the animal. Okay, and we are removing, from that blood we are removing the fibrinogen part. That is the clotting part we are removing. And we are applying that serum in small amounts into the body of the human beings. So that when we are getting it in small amounts, what happens? If the trespasser is not that powerful, what happens? We are very powerful to fight it, isn't it? But if it is coming in an enormous amount, we cannot fight. The WBC cannot fight. So what we are doing? We are just triggering. We are just giving a little amount of the serum. Okay. Now, in some bacteria, these toxins are not produced. Very clever bacteria are there. In that, what happens? Actually, this we have taught that peptidoglycan, isn't it? That cell wall containing thing. So the chemical. This peptidoglycan will have a subsidiary chemical with it, the cell wall. Okay, some bacteria are identified with the help of that kind of bacteria. That is, some bacteria will come in disguise. Okay, so that the body cannot catch. So what happens? We will take out that particular cell wall containing substance. that particular substance, and we will inject the dead bacteria. That is what is called vaccine. Okay. Okay, so serum is live bacteria, okay, in small amounts. Vaccine is dead bacteria. And next comes toxoid. They are also inactivated bacteria, but only that toxin part is being injected, which is very, very safe actually. Because in bacteria, the disease causing part chemical is different and the toxin is different sometimes. Okay, in that case, these all criteria depends upon the nature of the bacteria, the disease caused by it. So this is how we are actually removing these kind of things from a small bacteria. You will be thinking, it is only 0.5 micron, ma'am. We cannot actually milk bacteria like we are milking cow or something, isn't it? It is a small thing. How we will do it? This is done by children. It is a, I'm going little out of the topic. This is done in labs actually. Actually, we are cultivating bacteria in particular labs, and that from that cultivated area, that cultivated part, we are actually extracting the whole liquid and we are actually processing it to form the vaccines. Okay, that's why that the bacteria becomes inactive in particular temperature. That's why we are keeping vaccines in particular temperature. If we are injecting that particular bacteria in that particular temperature, it will remain inactive, but the body will be identifying them. Okay, that is why keeping vaccines in low temperature is very important. Okay, so that is about vaccines and serums. You can actually, antitoxins are also there, which is actually the toxins produced by our body against the bacteria. So these things, these four things are very, very important. I will be asking continuous questions to you. What is the difference between serum, vaccine and toxoids? Okay, homework, difference between these three you have to write. Okay, next one is about bacteria, nitrogen fixing bacteria, which is a very, very vital part of our ecosystem. Our earth is being existing on this nitrogen fixing bacteria. We can say in that way also. Because nitrogen is there it is the biggest amount of gas present in our atmosphere. Nitrogen, isn't it? So nitrogen is there in the atmosphere, and our cellular content is more of it is nitrogen. Our DNA, ribonucleic acid, it is actually comprising of nucleotides, that is nitrogenous bases and bases actually. So this much amount of nitrogen is there in living organism, but it is there in the up in the sky, in the atmosphere. Who will fix that to us? Yes, obviously food will bring that to us. Where the food is being given, it is from the plants, obviously producers. From there they are getting nitrogen. That is the point. From there where the producer level is getting nitrogen. For that particular bacteria is there. Some plants, leguminous plants like peas and all, green peas and all, when we take out the roots, we can see small nodules on that. That nodules are containing nitrogen fixing bacteria. They are present inside the root nodules. Note the point, they are present inside. The nitrogen fixing bacteria is present inside the nodules. What they will do is that they will take up the nitrates from the soil and they will give it into the nitrogen from the soil, and they will convert it into nitrates and they will give it into the plant. So they are present inside the plant. Now, are all plants having root nodules? No. All plants are not having root nodules. So what about other plants? Yes. For them, we have other kind of bacteria which is present inside the soil. Okay, so this nitrogen fixing bacteria which is present inside the nodule is called rhizobium. What is the name? Rhizobium. They are inside the root. That is root nodule. Okay, rhizobium, nitrogen fixing bacteria. Next one we are going to write is nitrifying bacteria. This is fixing This next one is nitrifying. Okay, in nitrifying bacteria, what happens is that, example I will write, Nitrobacter, Nitromonas, okay, Nitromonas, etc. That is only required. What are these? This bacteria is very complicated. What they are doing, Nitrobacter and Nitromonas. Actually, when an animal dies, okay, when an animal dies or when an animal excretes, what is given out? Obviously, nitrogenous waste is given out. That is what we have learned in excretory system, isn't it? So, this nitrogenous waste is given out, and that nitrogen is present in the soil in the form of ammonia. So, ammonifying bacteria are there. What they will do is that they will convert this ammonia into nitrates or into nitrogen. Some will be released into the atmosphere, some will be there in the soil. So, nitrogen is there in the soil. So, what happens? This nitrogenous bacteria, that is the, let us say, this Nitromonas. Okay, in the nitrates by bacteria such as Nitromonas. Ammonia is converted by Nitromonas. Keep in mind, Nitromonas and nitrates. And they are converted into nitrates by bacteria as Nitrobacter. So, first step is the soil, the ammonia in the soil is converted into nitrates. Okay, nitrites. Then these nitrites are converted into nitrates. Why nitrites into nitrates? Because nitrite into nitrate, because this plant can only take up nitrates. Okay, so what happens? These kind of conversions are done by this nitrifying bacteria. They are present in the soil and they are very much sensitive to the pH of the soil. Okay, that's why if we add more fertilizers or more salt or something into the soil, the plant will die because they are actually killing the nitrifying bacteria. Okay, so that is what the story of nitrifying bacteria. Next is denitrifying bacteria, which is called Pseudomonas. Okay, this denitrifying bacteria, what they do is that they will denitrifying, that is what it is. Okay, denitrifying means the nitrates and nitrates formed in the soil. Okay, some of them are released back into the atmosphere because we have to complete the nitrogen cycle, isn't it? So that has to be completed. So this nitrogen is being released back into the atmosphere. So that is done by this denitrifying bacteria. So children, agriculture basis we have learned three bacteria. Okay, one is the first one was nitrogen fixing bacteria, which is present inside the plant. The nitrifying bacteria, which is present outside the plant. Two sets of nitrifying bacteria, Pseudomonas and Nitrobacter and Nitrosomonas. Next one is the denitrifying bacteria, which we'll call as Pseudomonas. Okay. Okay. So, what is the commercial use of bacteria? Okay. First one is flavors of tea. Certain flavors of tea, that is called tanning. Okay, is produced by bacteria, useful bacteria for our digestive system. Okay, that is why tea is very important to us. Next was leather tanning. That is leather, animal leather industry uses the fermenting technique, using the bacteria. It will be kept in the water for a liquid setup for so many days, so that the upper portion, the fatty portion of the leather and all will be removed. Okay, that smell and all will be removed. Okay, that is why it is used in preparing leather, to make the leather portion very thick. It is very durable, we can say. Okay, now spoilage of food by bacteria, that is also very important. Botulism. Botulism is a very important food spoilage of bacteria. Botulin is actually the bacteria which is causing it, and it has actually a very common food poisoning which is seen in dead and decay by eating sealed foods and all. Sealed foods, okay. If it is not preserved properly, we can get the botulism. It is a very severe food poison, okay. Next one, there are so many food preservation techniques that is not needed for us. It is not there in the syllabus. That is exempted actually. They are not there. Now, bacterial diseases in plants, animals, humans. There are several examples given. In plants, we have given cowpea, lobia, bacterial blight is given. In animals, anthrax, tuberculosis. Humans also whooping cough, tuberculosis, diphtheria, typhoid, pneumonia, tetanus. Okay, these all are given, and which we have already mentioned in some other chapter. Okay, you can write. The homework is, first homework I told you about nitrifying, denitrifying bacteria, types of bacteria. Then you have to write in plants, animals and humans the examples of bacteria, disease causing bacteria. One by one I will be asking to you in the Google Meet. Thank you, children.